Hi, I'm Lily Green. I'm the Academic Coordinator for Desert Christian Home Education Program. We're going to be going over a K-8 reporting workshop today. You should have a packet in your hand. And this sheet, if you forget everything I say, this is your go-to sheet. It explains everything that I'm going to talk about today. So the first thing is the course of study. At the first of the year, you will be filling out a course of study which states the subjects you're teaching, the grade level, the book publisher, and the revision, the publication date or the revision date of that particular book you hold in your hand. In our CUME files, when we have all of the reporting in, this sits on top, and anybody could look at this that needed to see what your student did that year, and they would have all the information of the books, the subjects, and then underneath that would be stapled to it each of the terms reporting, which would show what your student actually accomplished, and then at the bottom of that would be the attendance record. So the whole packet would be your student's year and all of the items that were associated with that. So the course of study sheet, you have Bible, language, arts, mathematics, science, etc. All of the subjects listed here. The grade level is not necessarily the level that your student is in, because your grade is listed up here, but say they're in grade 4 and they're struggling in math, and so they're only using a grade 3 textbook. So that's what this is. This is the grade level of the textbook. If your student is in grade 4 and you've bought everything from the grade 4 category of the textbook company, and then that's going to be the same. But we can, as homeschoolers, we can accommodate for progression in our students' learning, or if they're having problems, we can also accommodate that. Then again, on this side is the publisher and the date of the publication of the revision of whatever is in your hand. So if it was published in 1989 but you've got a 2013 revision in your hand, that's the date I want to see there. So this is filed in your initial reporting at the end of September. It's only done once, and the only time you would have to do another one or revise it is if you make a major change. If you just add a few things, it's no big deal. But if you make a major change, you think this math curriculum is just not working, we're going to change, then you would have to come in and do a different course of study to reflect that. So that's the course of study. The next item is the attendance record, and it's fairly self-explanatory. P is for present, A is for absent, V is for vacation, X for weekend, and H for holidays. The only thing that's really different is the absent. If you're on the campus here at the school and you miss a day, they mark you absent, whether you're at Magic Mountain, whether you're at Grandma's, whether you're sick. For us, you only mark an A on here if the student is so sick that they can't do any work, but you plan to make up that work. Most homeschoolers, they can, even if they're not feeling very well, they have sniffles or something, they might not want to come to a regular hard campus school, but they can still do some of their work at home. They can do some of their reading, they can watch an educational video, so that can count as a P, as a present day. But if they're so sick, say they're throwing up all day, and they can't do any work, then that's an A, but you're going to make up that work later. So in the box down here, in your fall term, you might have 40 days and you might have 2 absences, and then the total is 42 because your present and your absence count in meeting your 175 days that you need to have by the end of the year. Typically homeschoolers don't have a lot of A's, like I said, because they can do some work even when they've just got a little sniffle. Okay, so we have some of these NCR forms still left, and you always submit from the back page every time you report, and then this is your master. The front page is your master, which will be submitted at the very end. Once we're out of these NCR forms, we will just be doing one copy that will be photocopied every time you report. But for now, we do still have in the K-8 attendance records, we still have some of those NCR forms. The next thing is the objectives. In your initial reporting, so you're going to be submitting your course of study, and you're also going to be submitting the objectives, the things that you tell me that you plan on doing for the first term. This is the kind of a copy of what the hard copy would look like. You also can get e-copies of any of these forms, and then that has a field that you type into, and you can extend the field. In the hard copy, you only have a certain amount of space that you can use. So you're going to use active verbs to express the objectives of what you think you can accomplish that term. The best thing to do is just to divide up your year in 3, because there's 3 terms, and then just adjust. Say you're going to take a lot of time off at Christmas, then adjust weight more in the first term and the third term, and make your adjustments after that. So they're expressed, the objectives are expressed with active verbs. So you say memorize assigned scripture. So you wouldn't just say scripture. You say memorize assigned scripture. Participate in Awana. Down here, improve reading skills. Take a weekly spelling test. Write descriptions. Write reports. Use reference resources. So you just go through and express in the objectives what you plan to do that term, and then at the you submit those in your initial reporting, and then at the end of the term, excuse me, you want the exact same form, only checked off with what you actually did do. So at the end of term 1, at the end of November, you would submit the copy of this exact same form. You would check off everything that you did, and then I can look at it and I can see that you accomplished what you said you were going to accomplish. If 20% or more of these objectives are not checked off, and there could be many reasons for that, then you want to submit an addendum. And the addendum might say, we weren't going as fast as we thought we could do this. Like the math was a little beyond him, or we're slowing it down. It could also be that it's not working, we're changing curriculum. It could be that we met all our objectives and we did this and this and this. I mean, it could be a brag sheet of going beyond what you projected. It could also mean that you estimated you could get through a lot more than you really realistically could get through. So it's just some kind of an explanation of why the objectives aren't checked off, or if they are all checked off, that you did more, and maybe it might list some of the field trips you took. Okay, so that's an extra sheet to explain. Mainly it's for explaining some of the things that are not checked off in the objectives, but you can use it as a brag sheet as well. So that's the addendum. The next thing is this support event. Oh, I forgot to tell you also that the e-form will look something like this. It's very similar to the hard copy. The difference is that when you get to the bottom of these boxes here, you can actually keep going and you can keep adding more items so that you never have to run out of room. But it's the same basic form as the other one that I showed you. So then the support event evaluation form and attendance form. When you go to your support group, they will give you a form and you fill it out. It acts as your attendance to meet your requirement for your group attendance, and it also acts as an in-service. If they've done some kind of a teaching or interaction that acts as your in-service, then you give some feedback on that form, but they will give you the form the night that you have your meeting. This is also a reporting refresher. I wrote it originally just because some people were having trouble expressing their objectives correctly, and so it acts as a refresher for those people that are having problems, but it's also for new people a good explanation of how to express those objectives. So you don't want to put page 1 through 10, because your page 1 through 10 is different than someone else's. So you want to express your objectives specifically, and you can look through the table of contents. You can look in the teacher's manual, you can look in the bold-face headings, and to find out what those content items are, but then how you express it. For example, instead of writing the scientific method, you would write memorize the steps in the scientific method. So it's just expressed in measurable goals. Okay. Then the report card. This is the report card for kindergarten. And again, we have e-copies of all of these forms. So in kindergarten, you're doing M for mastery, S for satisfactory, I for improving, N for needs improvement. And over here on the reading readiness, habits, it's the same thing where you're doing just for that term and estimating how they're doing. By the time you get to grade 3, it changes. But grade 1 and 2, we're moving up to, the key says excellent, satisfactory, improving, needs improving. It's broken down more by specific subjects. And again, you're just filling in the social aspects, the habits, the work habits, and then the subjects for the first term. The fourth term listed here is a summer term, which is optional. Okay, so grades 3 through 6, you're getting into the traditional scholastic grade of A, B, C, D. You've got your subjects, you've got your first term, and how you assess your students' work is up to you. There's a lot of variance between homeschool families and how they assess the students' work. on this side, it's different than the ABC. This is the side that is work habits and social habits, and so it's given the key of ESIN, same as the other excellent, satisfactory. So note that the key is different on both sides here. And so this is for grades 3 through 6. Then once you get to junior high, you're getting to a report card that looks more like high school. This is for grades 7 and 8. So you have your subjects here. If there's a specific area of study, so in Bible, say you were Bible 8 and you were studying apologetics, you would write that in there. If you're doing math at a high school level, if you're doing Algebra 1 in grade 8, write that in and you can start getting credit on your high school transcript. If you're doing adequate work at a high school level and you get at least a B, you can get credit for high school, even in junior high, for foreign language and for high school math. So your scholastic grade is the A, B, C, D. Your E for effort is the excellent, satisfactory, etc. And the C for citizenship is also the E, S, and N. So you might have a student that might have an A scholastically, but everything was late and they whined about everything they did. And so that might be reflected in the other two columns. It might not be an E, it might be an S, or it might even be an N. And the same could be true. A student might get a B, but they worked as hard as they could, and so they might have an E in these other two columns. And so that is it. If you have any questions, just email me at lgreen@desertchristian.com, and I'll be happy to answer any of the questions you have.